Hey, it's Tuesday and we're still here. How about that? Welcome to Cooperville Live. So good to see all of you. Well, I can't see you. You can see me, I can't see you. It's kind of weird. It's a one-way instead of a two-way. Different than a three-way. Joe, right up on it in the house. We're here today. Big show. Big show. Hip-hop artist Jameson Winter is on the program today. New album, Introspect, dropped last month. We're going to talk to him about that and a whole bunch more. He's coming up in about an hour. So that's big. Jameson Winter on this program today. Shut it up. Like that. We're rocking that Lion's Not Sheep today. Pretty much every day. Wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, I say thank you. Thank you for watching. Every single weekday we do this 5 p.m. till whenever. And you can get even more exclusive with the program by joining us on Patreon. The link is in the comment sections of all the places that you watch the show. Link on it. We got 3 different tiers you can join. We got exclusive audio. We're going to do some more videos. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. It's time-consuming, people. It's a time-consuming hobby. I got clean floors during the day so I can come here and talk to you every night. So join the Patreon. Help grow the show. Help keep us going. Because you never know. You never know when they're going to pull us off for talking too much shit. Or saying the word shit. Shit. Oh, man. So join the Patreon. And I appreciate it in advance. We're working on some merch, some special shirts, some hats, a bunch of cool stuff. I do have to say, thank you real quickly to Warren Garrett. Warren Garrett was on the show yesterday. And right after we got done with the show, he posted, first off, he posted a bunch of stuff from the show, which I appreciate. But then he's like, we got new merch. And I'm like, dude, that hat is awesome. I'm like, hats are my thing. Hats are my jam. You can see every day. Every day it's a different one. It's weird. I have a whole shelf, like in the closet in the bedroom. It's just hats. And then I usually just, there's like the 5 or 6 I like to wear all the time. Then I start to dig and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that. But he's going to send us a hat. So we'll rock that Warren Garrett hat once that comes in the mail. It'd be pretty cool. Pretty excited about that. All right. Also excited about all the fun stuff going on in the news today. Let's get some of those headlines, as there's so much to discuss, as there always is. It's the crazy thing about the 24-hour news cycle. And for those of you who are too young to remember, before this, like news, it happened outside of, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 p.m. But the 24-hour news cycle, like there's always stuff happening. It's always coming out, rapid fire, spitting at you. Craziness. I do have to say this. We did watch Coming to America 2 on Friday night. I think it was Friday night. Coming to America 2, the long-awaited sequel to Coming to America. Arsenio Hall, Eddie Murphy. Loved the original. Thought it was great. And to be honest, I liked the second one too. It was pretty good. There were a lot of there was a couple of real funny moments in the movie outside of the context of the actual storyline. Like there was a part where a couple of the characters are talking about the Hollywood running out of ideas and why do they keep making sequels, which was, obviously oozing with irony. Like, wait a minute. But no, I thought it was really good. It was a little woke. There was a lot of wokeness in it. Just like Joe thought it sucked. Yeah. I thought the first one was better. First one was better than the second one. I didn't mind the second one. It's just weird. Just kind of weird. Like the plot was really kind of pushed through a little bit. I'm like, wait, like, so this dude just like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Zimbabwe. Like I'm from Queens, but it's cool. Like, let me see some ID before you start whisking me off to faraway lands. and telling me I'm a prince. It's like a weird email scan that happens in real life. Like, wait, what? A Nigerian prince wants to send me how much money? I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. Let's bring that down. There we go. Like that. But if you did watch the movie, and I did want to bring this up, I believe that I think I saved this story. But the mansion, the home that they filmed the movie in, the big home, the palace that's supposed to be in, it's actually like Rick Ross's real house, like in real life. That's his home. It's like this huge palace. And you're like, wow, that's really cool. Like, wow, it's beautiful. That's really Rick Ross's house. Hip hop mogul Rick Ross. It's actually his home. It's like, well, it's interesting. Just passing along. So Joe didn't like it. Joe thought it sucked. But hey, you did take some time to watch it. Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, all right, sure, why not? Every once in a while, and I went off on a rant about how many I just watch documentaries all the time when I actually watch things on television. It's all documentaries. And I just keep on getting fed more documentaries. Then I get upset because I'll start watching one and I'm like, this seems old. And it's like 2019. I'm like, this is all outdated. I gotta find something that's new. That it's not coming out at a rapid enough pace for me. I need the docs, man. Gotta watch some documentaries. Learn shit. Expend the mind. But occasionally I like to completely numb it. Like, I don't know. Put a fork in me. I'll just, watch Total Recall. Or, as was suggested to watch on Friday night, was Coming to America 2. Like I said, it wasn't horrible. It's, when you're already paying for Netflix, you don't feel as bad about watching a movie that's not awesome. You're like, already making the investment, whatever it is, $17 a month for Netflix. Might as well watch it. I don't have to go to a movie theater. I don't have to leave the house. Didn't have to wear pants. It was great. It was all right. But I found it funny that I read a story about, it's actually Rick Ross's house that they filmed the movie in as the as the actual palace, which is wild. Have you seen this? The first time I actually saw this was my aunt. We have a group on Facebook that's like our genealogy, like family genealogy. So we have like old pictures go up there, and then some people are really like rooted in like our, Irish history, and hey, here's some cool stuff. And so every once in a while they'll post some new things in there, and they found some they had some really old photos of like would have been my great 4 or 5 greats grandfather. And they had utilized this new app, this new technology to bring their faces in these old photographs. The old photographs, everybody just look like this. Like completely stalwart, just looking hungry and shit. But there's this technology. Sorry, my app just closed down. That allows, through like not facial recognition necessarily, but they find the outline of the face and they can add in like movement and blinking and some like little smiles. And I was like, this is 2 things. This is really fucking cool, because obviously there's lineage there, there's family history, and really fucking creepy at the same time. Like, wow. It's just weird. Like, these people in my mind only really, they obviously existed in real life, but really only existed in my mind in photographs. And I was like, wow, this is really eerie. Well, it is apparently it's a new AI tool that makes historic photos, old photos, move, blink, and smile. This story comes from the Smithsonian.com. The algorithm matches pre-recorded video with the photo depending on the subject's pose and applies natural facial movements to the image. It's almost like animated moving portraits in the Harry Potter franchise, the Smithsonian story says. Have you seen any of these? They're weird, right? Photos once frozen in time being brought to life with an artificial intelligence program called Deep Nostalgia. The technology, which was released on February 25th, generated by the genealogy website MyHeritage, has since gone viral. Social media users have created lifelike moving portraits of mathematician Alan Turing, abolitionist Frederick Douglass, and physicist Marie Curie. They blink, they move their head side to side, even smile. The tech is also being used to animate artwork, statues, and photos of ancestors. That's where I saw it first, was photos of ancestors. It's just strange. It's cool because you're like, oh, this is what my great, 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 great grandfather and grandmother would have, like, if I would have seen them. This is the facial structure they would have had, and this is what they would have. But it's like real. I mean, it's smooth, but it's just weird. It's just kind of weird. If you haven't seen it yet, like, go onto the Smithsonian.com website and look up Deep Nostalgia is the name of the technology, the program that they're using to bring these old photographs to life. It's really neat, and I think it further along pushes further along the agenda that I've talked about on this program before, about pretty soon we're all just going to be living in virtual reality. They're like, oh, we were figuring this out when we were talking about how we could all just live in our basements and wear goggles, i.e., a little bit of the Matrix kind of stuff, minus maybe the plug in the head. I'm sure that's coming, though. But they're trying, like, oh, look, we discovered we could do this with photographs. Go look it up and tell me that it's not. It's twofold. Like I said, it's really cool and it's really creepy at the same time. It's weird. It's a weird, deep nostalgia. Yes. Speaking of technology, this is, if you haven't seen Songbird yet, I recommend it. Don't be all weird about it. Just watch the movie. And for me, I want it to be a little more like intense, a little less based on the love story aspect of it, and a little more on like the weirdness of what life would be like in what are they? Is it COVID-24, I think, or COVID-23, something like that, in the movie. But if you haven't seen Songbird yet, there's like every day you have to get out in this movie. It's a movie, people, so don't get all like freaked out and get me banned on Twitter or something. Are we on Twitter? Yeah, we're on Twitter. But in the movie, every day you get up and everybody's quarantined in their homes, unless you are a munie or somebody who's immune to COVID-23. And if you are immune, you have like this bracelet that says I'm immune, and you can roam about your day, do your thing. Everybody else has to stay inside. And if you get sick, you get sent to these like quarantine zones, real creepy. That's why I wanted that storyline to kind of continue in the movie. I didn't necessarily want it to be about, oh, this immune person is in love with this person that's stuck behind the door they never met in person. And so there's a little too much of the love story aspect of it, but whatever. Anyway, so in the movie, every day, everybody has to get up and they take their phone and then they do like this facial thing, facial recognition, temperature scan, whatever. And they say, oh, no anomaly detected. Have a nice day. Unless you have a fever, and then the Department of Sanitation comes to your house and takes you to one of these quarantine zones from which you never return. Basic premise of the story. Kind of in a nutshell. But anyway, there's a new app. Art, life, life, art. A new app that could detect COVID-19 from a cough with 98% accuracy. Ooh, technology is amazing. Wait, what? What else can it detect? Huh? A new tool used by more than 8,000 clinically validated samples of people coughing. Scientists say it diagnoses people with the virus just by the sound of their cough. The app replaces more invasive forms of swabbing as a diagnostic tool. Now, granted, Nobody wants the anal swab, right? Like nobody's volunteering for that. No. But there is a fine line. Like, oh yeah, just download this app. Put this app on your phone. Cough into it. You have COVID. The Department of Sanitation will be at your house and wait, what? I'm sure that's not part of how it works. You don't get it and then they come into your house and they haul you off. I'm sure that is not how it works. I'm sure they just say, "Hey, there's a chance that you have COVID and you should go and see your doctor or stay in your basement for 14 days and hope for the best. Good luck." Or we're coming to get you in 23 minutes. I'm all about tech stuff. I think tech is great. Obviously, I host a live stream show that's streamed on like 3 different platforms, and then we share the videos all over the place, and we cut video. We're on apps, man. We're doing apps. So I'm all about the tech, all about it. But it's a weird fine line when they're like, "Hey, download this app, cough into it, and we'll tell you what's wrong with you." I don't know. It surprises me that the privacy buffs or the privacy advocates aren't like, "Wait, what? No, you can't be invading our privacy like that." Like, where are they? They're like, "Oh, this is a really good idea. I think this is really smart. We should really do this. Everybody should have it." How far along an app? You cough into it, it records the cough and tells you if you have COVID or maybe perhaps other diseases, or you got some Copenhagen caught in the back of your throat. They don't fucking know. But how long until they're like, yeah, we're just going to give you this little, put the form to your ear and then just give you a little shot, little cyber shot right in the ear. You are all better now. Thank you. Have a nice day. I think technology is great. I think we've done really smart things with it. But you do have to be aware. There has to be a line somewhere where we're like, whoa, hey, before we turn into full-on cyborg, let's pause. Let's pause briefly and analyze where we're at with things. Now, granted, we're basically part cyborg already. We just detach it from ourselves when it's not in our hand. It's called a phone. It's right here. Pretty much always around you. Right? Or in your pocket, in your purse, in your bag, in your satchel. It's always around you. You always got it. Right? So you're almost part cyborg already. But that does not mean that we need Neuralink just yet or things of the nature. Neuralink, I believe, that's the Elon Musk thing that he's working on, the implant in the brain. Which to the point, I mean, at this point where Neuralink is at, it's more for like dementia patients and try to open up some more, thought waves and stuff and try to really help and people with, paralysis and paraplegics, try to reconnect some of those. Like, that's super cool. Like, we're like, wow. But it's also like Bluetooth. It's again, it's that Matrix reference where, Keanu Reeves is like, teach me Taekwondo or whatever. Hang on. Now I know it because it just plugged into the brain. There's a theory that's really what aliens are. Have you heard about this? There's not scientific theory, but there's theories amongst the believers that perhaps aliens are really us, but in the future. Okay? Like millions of years in the future, the aliens are really just former, Homo sapiens that because of advancements in technology, that's why they have the large craniums and they have, they become like, they have no gender. They don't communicate with speech. They communicate with thought. It's just this expansion of, eventually the human turning into some sort of half human, half AI And then eventually the AI and the human become one thing. And these are just humans from the future, or that existed, and just over the course of time and adaptation, that's what they became. So it's super cool, but it's a little frightening, like a little bit. Like probably not in our lifetime, right? I don't know. We're probably further ahead than they like to let on, right? Like, oh, well, here's where we are today. And then all of a sudden, like the iPhone 14 comes out and you're like, whoa, this is really cool. Do you remember that big, when the first iPhone came out, everybody was like, holy shit, like what the, huh? How does this work? This is amazing. And then in like a year's time, it got even better. And you're like, oh my God, how does it recognizes my thumbprint now? This is crazy. Now it recognizes my face. Weird. Now I can cough into it. It tells me if I have COVID. Amazing. Take me to your leader. Wait, what? Turn your location services off. But that shit starts to happen, right? Like, no. I don't know if you want me to take you to my leader, right? You may be a little confused about what's really going on. It's wild, right? We talked a lot about the state of Texas. Tomorrow is the day that Texas opens up the doors and says, Texas is open for business. Everybody can operate at 100% capacity. Go back to your jobs. We are open. Theme parks, sporting arenas. Now, I'm not sure about sporting arenas. I haven't really read up on that. I'm not sure if the state gets to decide or if there is some sort of like this like the SEC or the Major League Baseball, they have to like say, well, according to our rules, like you can only be at this much. But if it was up to Texas, they'd be like, fuck it. Baseball starts in a couple weeks. Come on down. Come and see the Rangers play. Or the Astros. Yeah. But anyway, so Texas has been in the news a lot. You know, they were in the news, obviously. They had the winter storms and they had all the power outages and the death and then, you know, the fallout from the winter storm and the power grid and then the whole whatever. So that was big news. Still big news. Still fallout from that. Like a week later, Governor Abbott's like, March 10th, we open the doors to Texas. Texas is open for business. No more mask mandate, and we're open at 100% capacity. There's some restrictions, okay? People get all like, what? Like, nobody's forcing you to not wear a mask. It's just removing the mask mandate. And now with the new CDC things that's coming out, like, if you've been vaccinated, you can be with other people in your own home if they've been vaccinated and with people who haven't been vaccinated, unless you're on a plane. Like, what? So a lot of confusing stuff. That's a different story for a different day when I can somehow dismantle that mess. So Texas is in the news for all this stuff. The snowstorm, we're open starting tomorrow's the date. They open tomorrow. And now Texas back in the news. Governor Abbott back in the news. Texas wants to ban Facebook and Twitter from banning people. Hallelujah. Joe, open that shit up. That's right, man. Open it up. Texas, Mississippi, Florida, open for business. Or whatever. Concerts, ball games, family gatherings, go see grandma, whatever. But now Texas is pushing against big tech because big tech has been on kind of a rampage ever since they banned Trump from Twitter to ban a lot of things from a lot of people, a lot of pages. And it's not always just like banning, okay? So people are like, well, I still see that so-and-so is still on here. You know, I listen to Tim Pool's podcast every day. They demonetized his page. He's still on Facebook, but they took away his means of making money on there. So they're not running ads, he can't make money on Facebook. They blocked him from doing that because of his content. And Tim Pool is not like a right-wing guy at all. So this isn't just a right thing. Anyway. Joe says, need to be with the peeps. We do. Gotta be with the peeps. So Texas, again, wanting to ban Facebook and Twitter from banning. This is coming from Vice. Quote, big tech efforts to censor conservative viewpoints is un-American, and we're not going to allow it in the Lone Star State, said Governor Greg Abbott. The story goes on to say, the state that wants to deregulate everything wants to tell Facebook and Twitter how to run their platforms. Of course, Vice is a very left-leaning website, so you're going to get jabs in there because that's what they do. Yep, Kevin Sorbo is still blocked. He even tried to start another page, and Facebook said, you can't just start another page. He's like, I'm posting pictures of my dogs and my kids. And they're like, no, can't do that, Kevin Sorbo. I don't care if you're Hercules. Anyway, Governor Greg Abbott, and I'll try to like proof this as I read it so that I'm not verbatiming Vice in there. Again, their little jabs. I have to just be like, we're going to tell you this story, but we're actually going to be assholes about it. Yeah, thanks, Vice. Appreciate it. Governor Greg Abbott is backing a proposed law in his state that would prohibit companies like Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook from banning users based on their viewpoint, specifically religious or political speech or geographic locations within Texas. The move, which is being replicated by other states, is seen as a state-level broadside against the federal statute that absolves social media companies for responsibility for the content of their users' posts. Of course, former President Donald Trump pushed for ending Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act before he left office, and he got banned from Twitter in January. Quote, they are controlling the flow of information and sometimes denying the flow of information, Abbott, who is considered running for a third term next year, said at a Friday press conference. And they're being in the position where they're choosing which viewpoints are going to be allowed to be presented. He continues, Texas has taken a big stand against big tech and political censorship. He added, big tech's efforts to censor conservative viewpoints is un-American, and we're not going to allow it in the Lone Star State. Similar bills have been introduced in more than a dozen states, according to CBS News, but Texas is further along than most. A similar bill passed the state Senate in 2019, but died in the House. It's not only backed by Abbott, but was also listed last month as one of the legislative priorities of Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who formerly presides over the state Senate. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to tell in the friendly confines of the great state of Texas that you can't just pick somebody out and say, no, you are no longer allowed to use this platform. And there's plenty of examples of extreme right, extreme left, extreme, that's still allowed. But we are obviously being treated like toddlers who can't be like, I don't like what this person says, therefore I will A, not follow this person, or B, I will come up with better speech. That's the replacement for bad speech. If you don't like something, is to come up with better speech. It's actually pretty simple, yet we just feel like, nah, fuck it, let's just close it down. Just block them. Shut them up. Don't let them have a platform. And then, you saw what happened with Parler, which I know is open back up now after having to basically figure out its own servers because Amazon, web services pulled them and all the app stores pulled them. It is, well, go somewhere else if you want to, have those kind of thoughts and have those kind of conversations. They're not allowed on our platforms. And then people try to go somewhere else and they shut that platform down. But you told us, we were just kidding. We just want you to go away permanently. Oh, okay. That seems kind of rude. That doesn't seem very American now, does it? So the state of Texas leading the charge on that whole. Really, it's fighting against censorship. It's fighting against censorship on all points, which is a strange place for Republicans to be because they were the ones that were fighting against censorship in the music industry many, many years ago. I talked about that. The whole, was it Nancy Reagan? And then it was Barbara Bush. And then it was Tipper Gore. And it was like, we're going to censor the music. Stop the music. And the music was like, meh. And, they had parental advisory stickers. And then it was a mockery and whatever. It's craziness. And now we're like, okay, the censorship thing is kind of bullshit. So, but people are for censorship as long as it's something that they want to have censored. If it's something that they're like, don't censor what I'm trying to say, then they get censorship defensive. Like, well, we can't have censorship. Well, you advocated for censorship because you didn't want this to happen. Yeah, but that's because it's me. And can we censor hypocrisy? Perhaps no censorship of hypocrisy. Okay, just checking. So good for Texas, staying in the news, man. I don't know. He's just trying to create a whirlwind. He's like storms, man-made storms. I'm just kidding. Man-made storms. Come on, that's not real, right? Right? Okay, good. Then we're going to open the state up, against Fauci's preaching. Remember Fauci? Fauci's the guy that said don't need a mask originally. Now he's like, 2 or 3, whatever. If one's good, 2 is better. Didn't your mother always used to tell you more isn't always better? I believe the first time I heard that story, I was using too much pledge on a wood floor. That's too much. Whoop. Yeah. More is not always better. But I digress. And then you got, them fighting against big tech. Good. That conversation needs to happen at a national level. And it was attempted to be, spoken about at a national level. And then miraculously, it's all gone away. 2:30. Where's that? Oh, they're good now? Everybody's good? All right, good. There was an interesting story I was reading. It's and I don't really like the way that Mashable wrote this because it's more based on here's a story of a 26-year-old who says she's done with Facebook. Here's a story of a 30-year-old who says they're done with Facebook. Well, there's apparently a hashtag that's a delete Facebook hashtag that's trending. I say this, and we're on Facebook, and literally we would not be streaming on Facebook, but we kind of have to be because there's people that are like, I don't understand YouTube or Twitch, but we're here. So we're here on all of them. But there's this kind of push of people like, delete Facebook. However, more than 3 billion people use Facebook every month. And nearly 2.6 billion are active users who log into the platform every day, according to Facebook. That leaves about 400 million people who have Facebook accounts but don't log on or don't log on very often. It's not so much they love the platform itself, but it's that Facebook has become such a staple in our lives on the internet that deleting it completely doesn't feel like an option if you want to remember birthdays, log into other platforms, or keep up with far-flung acquaintances. Far-flung acquaintances. I'm going to start using that. Oh, it's my far-flung acquaintance. Mashable, you're so hip. It's so hip. And it goes on to talk about more people, but they're like, oh yeah, I have it, but it's only so that I get them updates of like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday today. Like it's my buddy D Price's birthday today. I would never have known that if it wasn't for Facebook. That's me. I also have to post a bunch of stuff on there so that you people come and watch my show. Double-edged sword. Double-edged. Beyond the clunkiness and inconvenience of both the phone app and the desktop version, the urge to delete your account isn't unwarranted from an ethical standpoint. Excuse me. Take your pick of Facebook's problematic behaviors and its unconvincing attempt to tackle Russian interference in the 2016 election, the Cambridge Analytica scandal that revealed how much data Facebook was taking from its users, fake news, and the spread of misinformation, its role in facilitating hate speech, and the fact that it's been taken over by boomers. No hate to the boomers. There's really no shortage of reasons behind the delete Facebook push, the hashtag delete Facebook push, which began after revelations that the Cambridge Analytica had harvested the data of millions of users without their consent. The movement didn't actually start a boycott of Facebook, which was its goal, but arguably did increase awareness around digital privacy. So really what they're saying is that there's a ton of people who have a Facebook account. 3 billion? More than 3 billion accounts. And basically 2.6 billion who are active and log in on a regular basis. So you got about 400 million accounts that are just there. They're just holding places. And I'm sure you got to take about 1 million of those away, because I think I had one, and then I switched email addresses, and instead of like just switching it, I know that it somewhere out there is like a ghosted Facebook account that I no longer use, somewhere out there. But what they're saying is that all these people have the app, but they're not like going on and engaging and liking your photos or posting cat memes or anything like that. They just have it, and they're like, yeah, I get the probably get the updates. Like I said, the birthday thing is big. I'm not sure what if someone tags like an old photo. It was a couple of years ago. Somebody like went through like their elementary school pictures apparently and like tagged me in a bunch of stuff. I'm like, wait, what? I had this rad jean jacket though. I'm kind of pissed I didn't keep that. It was pretty bad. A stonewashed jean jacket, Notre Dame hat. Like I was just rocking it back then. Chucks. Probably weren't Chucks though. They were probably like the knockoff version of Chucks. Do you remember those? They weren't really Converse. They were just like, canvas shoes. Probably Spalding. No, that's Spalding was the brand of shoes I had for sports until like I got into high school. Then I got a pair of Nikes for the first time. It's a big deal. I digress though. But you get those updates, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess it's so and so's birthday. And maybe that reminds you to text them. But these people still aren't engaging actually with Facebook itself, which is strange. But the story goes on to say that it's become such an integral part of how we utilize the internet. Was it Australia? I can't remember which country it was, but in a country that's literally what they call the internet. The internet is Facebook, because that's where everything, like that's the starting point. It's pre-installed on the phone, and that's where you go. If you want to explore anything online, you start on Facebook, and then you just go elsewhere from there, which is kind of crazy. Because you know what they're doing, right? They're just following you around. Where are you going on the internet? There. That's why there's this whole big Apple versus Facebook thing, because Apple is locking down privacy. They're locking out the Facebook app from tracking your location. Google was doing the same thing. Big tech giants are starting to, wait, what? Because they know Facebook is just rolling in the dough, man. They're just raking in the money. You notice every time you go to you sign up for something, I got a bunch of audio programs and stuff and different video editing tools and all this. Like every time you go and sign up or try to log in, it's like, would you like to log in with Facebook? I'm like, no, sir. I would not. Then I do something silly like, yeah, let me use my Gmail address. It's the same fucking thing. Same thing. But who knows? It's just weird. It's like it's like the spot. It's the place. But you talk to a lot of, I figured at some point my 10-year-old would be like, hey, can I want a Facebook account or start me a Facebook account. He's not really into it. My nephew, who's just became a teenager, or I think he just turned 14. He's on there, but he's never on there. He's like, yeah, I can have one. Whatever. Just that's not their jam. The jam is maybe some Instagram, but I think even less Instagram now. TikTok. There's probably other ones that is the WhatsApp. Is that still a thing? People still use a WhatsApp for messaging? I have it. I've never used it. So there's a generational thing, the teenagers and younger are like, Facebook, don't really need that. And that I think has a lot to do with the whole boomer thing. The boomers coming into Facebook and, they're trying to avoid confrontation with the boomers, or at this point, probably the Gen X too, man. I'm Gen X. And I'm like, so it's just, but it's the thing, people don't want to use it, right? They're all on Snap. That's the one I was trying to think of it, Matt. Thank you for I was like, this TikTok, Snapchat is the big thing. Big thing too. Which is weird, right? Like, oh, we're all on Snap. Because then it just disappears. You're like, wait, what? The pictures, all the shit you send to one another, it just disappears, huh? Huh. Interesting. Dangerous world, man. Dangerous world, that Snapchat world. But, it's like Facebook is like now the holding point for like the older crowd, I guess. It's like I don't even know if it's 25. It may be like the 30 plus crowd. Like, yeah, I'm still on Facebook. I know it's tough to get any reach on Facebook unless you're investing in it, unless you're paying for like exposure. You have to have everybody share and like and comment. That's what like gravitates your stuff up to the upper echelon, Like I have, obviously I have the Facebook page. If you're watching on Facebook, this is on the page, or I shared it from my page onto my personal page. But not everybody who follows the page gets notified that this is happening or gets to see it. It's a very small percentage unless you start paying for it. So it's kind of grasping at straws. So that's why I thank you all. I know Joe and Matt. I know you guys are really great at always obviously commenting and sharing the show. Because without that, like it just sits here. It just sits here in the nethers and doesn't do anything. It's just me talking to you. What up? 22 CBD drawer. Sorry. Again, the font is so small. But we got a Twitch follower, so there we go. Hanging on the Twitch. See, that's where the kids are too, man. Shady. Yeah, Snapchat, shady. Kids are on the Twitch too, not just the kid. Twitch is like all over the place, man. It's like all over the place. You got a bunch of bands that are doing stuff on there. You got obviously the gaming thing. There's people that just go on there and talk shit like all day, like kind of like what this show is, just me talking shit on Twitch. So they're over there, but it's a different world. You tell people that you're on Twitch, they're like, huh? What? Unless you hit like the age, there's an age window. They're like, oh yeah, I got the Twitch app. But another challenge in trying to grow the show is like, you tell somebody to please go download the Twitch app. And they're like, another app. Okay, fine. And then it just sits there. And then you go through like when your phone runs out of memory, like I need to delete some shit. Why did I download Twitch? I'm doing great today. Today is going fantastic. Today is going to get immensely better in about 15 minutes. Jameson Winter, hip-hop artist, is going to be joining us, talk about his new album, Introspect, which just came out last month. So that is coming up at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock. I just find it interesting that people are, as much as they're not abandoning Facebook, they still have it. It's an integral part of their life. They just never, ever utilize it, which is weird. It's a weird space to be in. Not everybody. Still some people on there. But we do what we can, right? We do what we can to interact. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back and roll through a couple more of the headlines that we have out there right now. And then we're going to talk to Jameson Winter in about 15 minutes from now. So stand by for 5. Jameson Winter coming up in 15 minutes. And we're back on Cooperville Live, about 10 minutes away from being joined by hip-hop artist Jameson Winter. We're going to chat with him in just a bit. See, my mom is on here. Hi, Mom. Good to see you. Or good to see me. One of the two things. Don't forget, you can join our Patreon, exclusive content, audio, all the stuff coming to Patreon very soon. Check out that link. Just posted it in all of the live stream and chats and conversation boxes, and also comments, depending on where you are watching, whether that's on Facebook, on the Welcome to Cooperville page, or on YouTube, Cooperville YouTube page, or No Limit Cooper on Twitch. Thank you I got a new follower, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you. 22 CBD Rawr. I'm not sure. Anyway, so Jameson Winter coming up here in just a bit. It seems like I'm going on like a trashing all social media, not trashing, but just talking about all social media stuff today, but it's stuff that just happens to be in the headlines. This story comes from the BBC News, but I read it in a couple different places. I think Vice had it, and but anyway. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey has listed his first ever tweet for sale. His first tweet is for sale. You can buy his first. Let me just make sure that makes sense to everybody, myself included. He's selling his first tweet, and the bidding has reached over $2 million for Jack Dorsey's first tweet. That tweet says, from @Jack, just setting up my Twitter, TWITTR, back from March 21st of 2006. What? It'll be sold for an NTF token, unique digital certificate that states who owns a photo, video, or other form of online media. So now this NTF thing is going to become probably pretty big thing if Jack Dorsey's endorsing it. So you can sell something in the digital world and it becomes then content, belongs to somebody else. Like if I post a picture or drop a tweet or this particular video, I could say, hey, mom, do you want to buy this video? It could be yours in NTF for, I don't know, $2 million. Throwing it out there. $2 million is where the current bidding is at, over $2 million. The post will remain publicly available on Twitter even after it's been auctioned off. So basically, you give Jack Dorsey, billionaire Jack Dorsey, $2 million or whatever the bidding ends up being. He gets to keep the tweet. It's still on Twitter. But you get, as the buyer, a certificate, a digitally signed and verified by Mr. Dorsey, as well as the metadata of the original tweet. The data will include information such as the time the tweet was posted and its context, which is everything that's already on a tweet, right? The context, what the word says, who it was by, publisher, time and date. But you will have a certificate that says, I own that tweet, even though it's Jack Dorsey's tweet, and you just gave a billionaire a bunch of money. I'm sure he'll use it for good and not for evil. Perhaps, looking at Jack Dorsey's current beard situation, perhaps he should invest in Captain Coop's Beard Company. Shameless plug. That's my beard company. Just saying. It might not. It just looks. See, this is all good. See that? His is all disheveled. I mean, dude, come on, buddy. Shame. I mean, Jack. I know Jack Dorsey's watching the show. No, he's not, because we didn't put it on Periscope, because nobody's watching things on Periscope. Maybe there is. I don't know this for a fact. I don't want to be dropping non-truths on the show, but he could use some beard oil, maybe some balm. I got both, Jack. At Jack, hit me up at @NoLimitCooper_ on Twitter, and I'll set you up with some beard oil. I may mark up the price a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I might. I'm wondering the sanity of somebody who is like, yes, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to buy Jack Dorsey's tweet. You don't get the tweet. Tweet is still there. If I want to go see the tweet, even though it's your tweet because you bought it, I can go and scroll back to 2006 and see Jack Dorsey's first tweet. It's at Jack. It's that simple. But idiot with millions of dollars to spend fervorously owns the rights to that tweet. Please don't give Jack Dorsey your money. Please don't. Do the world. Take your money and do something wise with it. You know? Join my Patreon. Shamelessly just buy some beard oil, join the Patreon, sponsor the show, whatever. Dude, you got $2 million to spend on a tweet. You can help out an up-and-coming streamer, can't you? I think so. I don't know. It's a weird world we're living in, people. It's a weird world we're living in when the context of the world, not the world currently, but the current state of affairs is an online debate on Vice on whether people want to have sex with Lola Bunny or not. This is the world we live in, people. This is the fucking world we live in. 2021, and there is a debate going on online. Thanks, Vice. Because people are pissed off because for Space Jam 2, they changed her appearance from, I don't know, over sexified bunny rabbit to kind of a tomboy bunny rabbit. If my head explodes live on this show, somebody capture the film and sell it like Jack Dorsey selling his tweet, okay? Sell that shit. Make some money. What? No. Nobody Okay, I shouldn't say that. I'm not saying that because there's some weird people in the world, okay? Most people didn't watch the original Space Jam and go, Lola Bunny, what's up? They didn't. They didn't do that. That's not real. Now if you want to get into, Jessica Rabbit, that's probably a little different. Probably different. But the fact that there's actually a story on Vice right now that is about people wanting to have sex with a cartoon rabbit from Space Jam makes me question the sanity of the world. It really does. Like there's nothing else to write about apparently. Like we ran out of shit to write about. I have an idea. Let's put the pictures next to each other and be like, is this rabbit sexier or is this rabbit sexier? And you go, why are we what? This all we had? So I don't waste my time on that. I didn't even read that story. I just saw the headline. I'm like, what? Needed to tell you all about it. And we can move on. Because that's the way the world is right now. But if you want to know what I spent my day listening to the entire day, I went through the whole catalog. The whole catalog. I started with the new album Introspect, and I went all the way down the rabbit hole. And not rabbit hole compared to Lola Rabbit. Different rabbit hole. I went down the Jameson Winter rabbit hole, and he is on the program right now. Here he is. Look at this guy. He is joining the show. Jameson, how you doing, my friend?
Good. What's going on, man?
Oh, I'm just solving all the world's problems on this show today. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, man, first off, thank you for taking some time out. I got to say congratulations on the new record. Like I said, I was jamming to it all day today. Introspect, that shit is dope.
Thank you.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
Now,
yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Originally from Wisconsin, is that right?
Yes, sir. Southeast Wisconsin, down by Lake Geneva.
Nice. Mm-hmm. We're not necessarily known for our hip hop, prowess, but I started following you, and you have like this. There's like this tree of like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, there's some talented cats from Wisconsin out there dropping some. Yeah. So I appreciate you spreading the love to not just yourself but to all the others that are out there, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's tons of talent down here. It's honestly, it's been a big SoundCloud scene, type thing going through school, but a lot of my older friends, I think, are seeing how much support I get around here anyways, which you don't usually get from a local scene nowadays. I think they've seen a lot of that support or a little bit of it coming and are like, okay, I should start dropping my music again. And I'm like, thank you, dude, because I'm ultimately fans of those guys the most,
Here's what I think is great about not just that story, but about the fact that this capability exists now for artists like yourself to not only get into the scene and get into music and be able to create your own stuff, but to build a fan base, to build an army of fans without like the old school necessarily way of doing things. I mean, you can have, I've discovered so much music just on alternative platforms, even like places like SoundCloud where it kind of starts, but then, your whole library and stuff I was listening to on Amazon Music today. It was like I went down through the whole list. So it's cool that you can start with, this idea and this dream and create. And then all of a sudden, you have this following. It's spectacular, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm finally, my friends have always been right there. Biggest supporters always, but they're really pushing nowadays. They're on me, if they know I'm kind of slacking a little bit for a few days here and there. They're like, dude, you better get in the fucking studio.
That's the thing about hip hop though that I love is that you can come out. Just dropped a record and it's amazing. Introspect. Everybody go and download that record right now. I say record because I'm old. That album. No, drop the digitally download, whatever. Do it. Yeah. Do what the kids do. Do what the damn kids do.
Listen to it.
Yeah, just listen to the whole thing. But you can come back and get in the studio and find the beat, and create whenever you want. I think that's just spectacular.
Yeah, I love that about hip hop, honestly, because you can just take your laptop, your headphones, if you interface and some small bookshelf speakers and really run an on-the-go studio all over if you want. We kind of travel a lot. We had a 3-month spurt where we were just like booking Airbnbs constantly and just recording. I think that's what I wasn't going to drop like a full actual project for another year. But I think that kind of being around my friends and them engineering and seeing how into it they're like pushing me, I was like, yeah, I got to drop a project for them.
No, and it's great. Introspect, everybody, like I said, go and check that out. But it's also cool because you got your content that you're putting out right now. And again, this just kind of goes back to the beauty of technology and the ability to do things that look like soup. Like you hired a crew to come in and film even just the small stuff that you're putting out. By the way, that Billie Jean, that was fucking fantastic. I listened to that clip.
Thank you.
30 times over. I'm like, that is a fucking jam right there. But you can fucking put out like really great looking content, and then you drop an album. I mean, the ability to do things now has got to be, I mean, obviously it changes every day and things get newer and fresher all the time, but you got to be like super stoked with the way that you can do things with the drop of a hat with an app or with, a couple of iPhones and put out great content.
That's the thing. The iPhones are just so slept on nowadays, I feel like, because I mean, it's all about people want the best production and best looking videos, but a lot of times you can set your phone to 60 frames and, just run it.
I want to talk about getting into hip hop, getting into the scene and becoming an artist yourself. Like when you were growing up, like who were the artists that really inspired you? The first sound that you heard that you're like, yeah, like this is the direction that I want to go musically.
Man, honestly, first of all, my pops is really, he played a bunch of like LL Cool J, Big L, Kool Moe Dee growing up for me. So like we'd be on the way to football games playing everything from that to like the newest Nelly song that dropped, because I used to love Nelly when I was a kid. But I think like definitely Eminem, obviously, whatever, lyrically. I'd say more modern wise though, definitely Lil Wayne, The Game, one of my favorite rappers of all time. I have to say Ludacris and Nelly, all those guys are just real hard kicks and 808s back in the day.
Yeah, and I think that they have, and you can kind of feel their the tree that the roots that they sprouted. They put the roots down in the tree that grew out of it, and all the artists that kind of came from different limbs and sampled a little bit of that sound. I mean, it's so diverse, and I think the cool thing about you though is like you're unique to you. Like I listen to your shit. Like I said, I was just scrolling through Instagram, and something popped up about your album dropping, and I was like, oh, just give it a listen. I'm eclectic musically. I listen to depends on my mood, all sorts of shit, and I was like, this motherfucker's spitting right here. Like you're just like, freestyle. And there was, then, I got to listen to some of the album and then, scan through some of your stuff. And that's where I heard the Billie Jean thing. Like you have your own unique style. I mean, there's not like, I wouldn't compare you to some, I mean, you talked about some of the big hitters in the game, but you sound like you.
Yeah. Thank you. You're the first person to kind of hit it like that, because that's kind of my aim. It's always been hard for me with people asking like, oh, who would you say you sound like, or what type of beats do you like, or something. I'm kind of like, I don't want to sound like a douchebag, arrogant as hell, but I'm like, my kind of stuff, I don't know how to explain it.
But I think that's important. It's important to not just because you want to be you uniquely as an artist, but you do want to be able to stand out from the clutter that's out there.
Right.
I mean, I think you're doing that, and it's cool to just listen to. Even listening to the latest album, and then again, like I said, I fell down the rabbit hole, and I was coming off a story about a cartoon rabbit, so it kind of got all fucked up in my head a little bit. But
not that rabbit hole. I was laughing.
It's like fucking people talking about having sex with cartoon rabbits. We've lost control of society, man. Yeah. But it's like, but your sound is. It's constantly you, but I can tell there's an evolution. There's this progress that grows and grows and grows. I think the latest album is just, you're at the level you're at now. And if you're already talking about getting back in the studio and doing more shit, obviously there's growth in there. So that's, I mean, that you gotta feel good about where things are going.
Yeah, thank you. I'm definitely stoked where they're headed because, I made a bunch of, when I was younger, I was just dropping music into SoundCloud and just dumping it for all my friends. And a bunch of people started telling me, take it more serious. I'm kind of like, all right. So I was lacking the network side. So I kind of made a bunch of connections. And these guys, like the videographers you touched on, that's Real Range Productions, actually. On Instagram. They shoot most of my stuff. That guy actually is a buddy I met who's always lived about 35 minutes down the road from me. Never met him in my life. And that's like all this talent is finally, getting pieced together a little bit. So I'm excited for the work we're all going to be piecing together too down the road. Have
you been able to get out and perform at all? I know it's been a wicked kind of year for doing much of anything, but have you been able to get out and at least and do some performances? Have you kind of been trapped in studio mode?
No, I'm trying to force myself to stop. I kind of trap myself in the studio mode too much, but I actually did that Real Range Productions I was talking about. Aaron is the CEO from there. He actually set up a show at the Lake Geneva Theater, downtown Lake Geneva. This is like their first big hip hop show they've done. Shout out to Sunny Days too. He also helped set that up. He did a little EDM thing first. Got our foot in the door, and Aaron got IMG Spook, some artists like myself, and there's a pretty decent turnout. We stayed way under capacity, but we had pretty decent turnout surprisingly, and just did another one last weekend at the Baker House in Lake Geneva too. So Lake Geneva's scene is kind of coming more or getting more hip to the music anyways.
That's good. I've spent some time down in Lake Geneva. I mean, it's a beautiful city, but I never, when I drove through Lake Geneva or when I spent any time there, I was never like, yeah. It wasn't, this was probably, 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, but it wasn't like, hey, this place is going to be super hip, but it's cool to see that I think you see that when you have a younger generation that starts to come up and they find different ways, they're not just, well, if I didn't hear it on the radio, then it's not a real
right.
thing. You have an audience there that doesn't listen to radio, who finds music in alternative ways, and they're able to say, hey, I found this cat, and through whatever, they follow me on Instagram or they follow follow you on Facebook, and they're like, oh well, he's going to be doing I think that's how you grow that kind of community down there is through alternative ways than the mainstream, the old school way of doing things.
Yeah, and it's nice too because it's kind of like a little, help people get out, especially now. Them little shows that we are doing, it's kind of like breath of fresh air almost. Get a little break from being trapped.
So you talk about studio time, and I know you got a lot of other things going on with dropping the record and things like that. Like what do you do to chill? Like what is your like, I'm gonna take 5, I'm gonna go and relax for a little bit. Like what do you do to take the edge off?
Usually I like drinking High Life personally is my beer choice.
It's the champagne. It's the champagne of beers.
Yeah. Usually though, I like to work out, hang out with my brothers and stuff like that. Or sometimes, a lot, especially with hip hop, you got to deal with a lot of egos, and that's not throwing shade at anyone, myself included, usually more times than not. And I kind of talk to my siblings. I think they kind of put me, they're all younger siblings too, mind you. And they kind of, they just tell it like it is to me, always have. So they'll kind of be like, all right, I think you sound like a dick, or you're not wrong for thinking that. So kind of helps me calm down when it's just a bunch of chaos going on, just hang out with the family.
That's good. Hip hop can be, a very cutthroat is a little abrasive, but I mean, it's a tough industry. Maybe it's not, maybe it's spot on, but it's a tough industry. And I imagine you've taken your share of punches, on social media and stuff like that. But it seems like, again, this is just deciphering from the things I heard on the album, is that you kind of, I won't say roll with it necessarily, but you kind of rise above some of the shit talk that goes on in the industry. Yeah.
And I think a big part of that too is, because the town I grew up in, here in Southeast Wisconsin, is a smaller town. There's like 12,000 people around here growing up. the big thing is, you know, so many people know each other and there's so much just talk, you know,
Yeah.
and you kind of find a way, you either have to at a real young age, how to overcome and, you know, use it to your advantage, or you just crumble. There's tons of people that I just know kind of just stuck doing the same stuff over and over, you know.
And I imagine, you know, again, A, Wisconsin, and B, a small town in Wisconsin, you know, when you have goals and dreams and obviously you're putting in the work and the grit and the grind, all that stuff that goes along with it, you know, just because of small town mentality, and I've dealt with it most of my life as well.
Yeah.
There's like this, but you know, you're from insert small Wisconsin town here, you know, there can be pushback for like, oh, shouldn't you just, you know, maybe go get a job at the whatever, the factory, or, you know, you should go to school and do this, you know, then you can work in town, or you can become a paralegal, you know, just like different weird shit that you're supposed to do when you're
like a real person.
Yeah, like grow up. When are you going to grow up and get a real job? I've heard that most of my life. But you kind of just said, fuck that, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you know, when we're kids, we're all idiots. I had my fair share of idiotic moments, but I think I kind of put myself onto a path where I was like, I'm either going to be miserable and have enough money to at least pretend to smile, or I'm going to work my ass off now. And because I also have done construction too since I was like 18, right out of high school. So I was like, I either bunker down now and get it all done, or just sit around and be a schmuck.
That's good though. I think that's an inspiring story for a lot of, you know, even kids that are coming up who have dreams and aspirations, and maybe it's in hip hop, maybe it's in rock, maybe it's in, you know, they want to do something that really, when they look outside of their, you know, you can find it on the web and you can find it in music, obviously, but, you know, they look outside of their town and they go, well, there doesn't seem like there's many people that are out here living their dream. They're kind of living like, you know, 8 to 5 and, you know, 2.5 kids and we got a house and we got a dog, and, you know, so, but I think your story of like, yeah, you're going to have to grind and you're going to have to, you know, work a job, and then you can do your, you know, do your music until it breaks, and then that becomes your thing. I think there's a lot of inspiring in there for youngsters who want to come up and be like, but I want to be, you know, I want to be in the game, or I want to, you know, go and do something that's really super special. You tell them that, you know, it just doesn't come to you. You got to work for it.
You absolutely do. And, you know, like, obviously I'm in hip hop, so this is just what I know, but it's so much more rewarding. I got some buddies, I could be biased, but I got some buddies that have told me that, you know, they're in bands and stuff. And personally, I'm jealous of them. Like, that's way cooler than rapping on a mic to me, you know, but it's the other way around for them. And they're like just intrigued by it. But I'd say don't let like people around your town, and because your local scene necessarily right when you start out, or even a year, 3 years down the road, isn't, you know, fucking with your music or even you as a person, fuck that. Keep doing it, because, you know, when I first started, obviously everybody gets their hate, but now not to be arrogant, but it's hard to find a person around here, especially, that is like, your music sucks, dude. Right. You know?
That's good. That's good that you have that support around you. You know, that people want. I think it takes like doing something. I'm sure you were, you know, rhyming to Nelly back in the day, or, you know, LL, and, you know, just, you know, laying over tracks and stuff like that. Then you probably started freestyling and doing shit like that. And people were like, oh, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden you have like your own music and your own sound and your own thing, and you're like, and then they go, oh, and now we got you back. We got you back now. You're a boy now.
Yeah. Oh, you're not recording on your iPod Touch anymore. I saw you at a real studio. Like, text me back. How come you don't answer?
That's weird. All of a sudden things change. But you know, it's nice to have at least, and again, you had to put in the work. That's, you know, the underlying thing is you had to put in the work. You had to put in the time. You obviously have the talent. I mean, I've just, the shit I've seen you do on video and the new record. I'm like, you know, like I said, to steal the quote, this motherfucker spitting is not like understating, but it's cool to see like, the evolution of where you at, you know, where you were at, where you are at, and, you know, just, you know, laying over tracks and stuff like that. And people are like, oh, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden you have like your own music and your own thing, and you're like, and then they go, oh, and now we got you back. We got you back now.
Yeah.
And obviously there's this huge trajectory coming off the album release and hopefully, big plans for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially, hopefully we all start, I don't know, using our heads and this whole thing starts going away and we can get outside, and with the weather getting nice, concert season should be a lot easier to deal with, even if there is regulations under place,
Yeah. Did you have it's been like really fucking nice up here. Like the last couple of days, like it was like 65 here today. And everybody's freaking out. So you get that little tease, and you're from Wisconsin, you get that little tease of spring, and you're like, all right, open shit up, man. It's time to go.
Yeah. The beers start getting opened at like 4 p.m. instead of 8 or something because the sun's up.
Yeah. And you think like, oh, well, happy hour. All of a sudden now you get it. You're like, oh, I understand now. The sun's out. Yep. There's a patio open somewhere. I know I got to go enjoy, man.
Definitely.
So I'm going to get you out here with this question. This is like, again, this is hypothetical. So in your perfect world, who would be your ideal collab? Like, who would you do a song with that would be like your
artist wise?
Yeah. Which artist, if you could do a collaboration with, do a song with, who would it be? And that'd be like, all right, I'm good now.
I'm good. Oh shit. It'd be hard to choose. I probably got two. It'd probably be LP from Run the Jewels might be one of them. And then I'd say either I've been really fucking with Kembe X lately. Have you heard of him?
Yeah. I was just listening to
either him or The Game.
That's the play then, man. That's the play. We're just keep on the path. And that's the cool. That's what I love about, it's so tough in other genres. It's a little easier nowadays, I think, just because of technology. But like in hip hop, it seems like you can collab with somebody like, and it's super easy. It's not like this major challenge where you got like meet, well, okay, well, next time I'm in LA, I'm gonna hit you up and we'll get in the studio together. This is like, hey, I got this beat, send it to you. And, the quality is great across the board. So, that potential is there because the technology, I think, in hip hop leans itself more to being, accessible. So, and I got faith in you. I can't wait to hear that track or those tracks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jameson Winter, the new album is Introspect. It's available now. Go listen to the whole thing, download it, do whatever you got to do. Hopefully, my friend, as things open up, and I'm going to follow you and I'm going to see where you're going to be at. I'm going to come and catch a show, and we'll drink some High Life, and we'll solve all the world's problems, and life will be good, my friend.
Fix the Lola Bunny issue.
Oh, God. Oh, it hurts. It hurts my brain that I read that headline. I'm like, we've lost it. We've lost the world. It's out of control.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, take care of yourself.
Thank you for having me.
No, man, anytime. We'll get you back on here soon, and take care of yourself. We'll be in touch, man.
Yep. See you, man.
All right, brother. Jameson Winter right there from the great state of Wisconsin. The new album, Introspect. Again, it's available on all streaming platforms. Go and give it a listen, man. I'm telling you, that's what I was listening to today at work. All day, it was in the headphones. People were like talking to me, and I'm like, what? Sorry, I'm busy. I got things going on. So definitely go check out his stuff. Joe jumped on there. What's Joe got to say? Yeah, he's good. I told you he was good. Jameson Winter right there. To all of you who tuned into the show today, thank you so much. Whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's Facebook Live or you're on YouTube or you're on Twitch, got my new Twitch follower. Thank you very much. Got you. I got you too. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. I'm going to drop that Patreon in there one more time so you can, if you haven't already done so, join the Patreon, keep the show alive. We got a big Wednesday show coming up tomorrow. My buddy, my friend from Nashville, Tennessee, George Dukas, is back on the program. We're going to spend a whole hour with George Dukas tomorrow. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. He's got a bunch of things going on musically. Just redid Lipstick Promises. We talked to him about that last time he was on. I listened to the old one and the new one back to back, and I love them both. It's not like Coming to America 1 and 2. I have a preference. These two, I'm like, it's pretty close. So George Dukas is going to be on, and super, super awesome up and coming alt country artist Katie Joe is going to be on the program tomorrow. Again, another one of these artists that I found on Instagram, and I was like, that is a super unique sound. Like it's got this old soul sound to it. It's got this kind of Casey Musgraves, and then but she's still her own artist. Katie Jo is going to join the show tomorrow. Super excited to talk to her about her music and her career. But she's super dope. Like I found her on the Insta and I was like, what? Yeah. Reached out and luckily she agreed to be on the show that's coming up tomorrow. So we got George Dukas at 5:00 starting tomorrow, right out the gate tomorrow, George Dukas, and then followed by new up and coming artist, Katie Jo. So busy Wednesday program. Thank you for following. Jump on the Patreon and join it. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another.